way, for those that don't know me, you've got some context for who I am. I'm Sean. I'm sort of loosely and at this point passively running the Denver Tesla Club. I did not start it, but I acquired it from a couple of gentlemen who founded it. Both of their names, ironically, Chris. And about a year after I got my Tesla, I was asked to take the club over. So this would have been in 2017 that I took the club over. At this point of the timeline of the Denver Tesla Club, it was mostly limited in terms of reach. And in 2017, that this was pre Model 3 and certainly pre Model Y, but I took it over and tried to capitalize on the things people wanted to participate in, and tried to sort of expand its reach and exposure. So, in addition to club events, outings, drives, lunches, those sort of things, picnics. One of my objectives was to get officially connected to Tesla. So they had a formal process for becoming a recognized Tesla club, and went through that process. It's relatively easy. They have you sign some NDAs, and they have you sign some agreements to abide by their guidelines for utilizing Tesla logos and things like that. And what it really gave us access to, though, that I think is the most beneficial is employees at Tesla that can actually influence things that owners were experiencing, issues, but also relaying feedback. So it gave me a direct channel to Tesla. If for example, an owner was having an issue that wasn't getting solved locally at a sales or service center, and I could reach out to my contact in Fremont, and then they would kind of funnel it down and had a little bit more weight coming from Fremont versus an owner or an individual in the Denver area. So that's a little bit of a background. That also is sort of a bridge into partial bridge into how I got to meet some of the Tesla executives. But the question about the Tesla insurance, it was an extremely easy process to set up. You do it through the mobile app. You can choose your premium and coverage, and they give you a quote after you select the premium and coverage. And for me personally, the way that it kind of worked out, my current rate was quite high, and so when I got the quote, it was like almost three times less than what I was paying currently through Progressive. So they utilize this safety score, which pulls from the telematics in your car. It doesn't factor in how fast you're going or if you're speeding, but it does factor in braking, hard turning. And then I don't have this on my car, but it also factors in autopilot disengagement. So if you're not paying attention, it'll, the autopilot will disengage because it thinks that you're not paying attention. So it does factor that into the safety score, and then they use that safety score to base your rate on. Initially, because you don't have a safety score yet, they give you sort of a basic score of 90. They start you off at 90, and then it can go up or down from there. So your rate is based on that safety score and can go down it can be less expensive if your safety score goes up. It goes up to 100. I think most people, from what I've seen, have a 99 or 98. So it's not a new idea. Other insurance companies do these sort of things, but what's, I think, a competitive advantage for Tesla is that the telematics are automatically built into the car, and so it's such a simple process for them, and probably multi beneficial. So that's how it works, and you can pull up the mobile app and see your score at any point, and then it also gives you the rate based on that score. So that's how it works. Any follow-up questions on that one?
I just see that my safety score is 90. That's not very good, it sounds like.
when did you set that up?
Quite a while. It has a whole year of data, it looks like.
Well, but they don't. They give you. I think when you agree to allow them to track it, whether that's through insurance or through their FSD data, I think it starts you off at 90, and then you have to work your way up from there.
I believe it resets every month.
Yeah, all I have right here is last month.
It's a rolling score, so it'll go up or down. But for the insurance, they kind of base it on a monthly 30-day.
But Jill, you let your kids drive your car. How are they driving?
Oh,
well, I let my friend Ken drive it when I go away to Mexico, and he doesn't. I check his safety score all the time. He doesn't do very well.
That's good.
I asked him to drive it under his profile last time, but he didn't. I don't know why he didn't, but I don't know if that makes any difference. I don't know if it keeps track of your profile only, or
I don't believe that it's profile segmented. I think that's something they plan to add. It makes sense, because each driver is going to drive different. But unless it's changed recently, I think that it all is just together. It's based on the car and not the driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had, when I was trying to get FSD beta for 6 months, I told my son not to drive the car, and he took the car out literally for like 5 minutes. Like, I saw him leaving with the car. So I went up, grabbed the phone, said, come back. Of course, when he came back, he made like this big U-turn at like 50 miles an hour or something. Anyway, I mean, that 5 minutes like took my score down from 100 to like a 97, and I never got back to 100. So it can make a huge difference if you let certain people drive.
I will say that it has made me a more aware driver, because you're getting this, real-time feedback on how you drive. So I think the thing that I had to adjust was how fast I went around traffic circles, roundabouts. I would be going too fast. I mean, it wasn't terribly fast. Like, I wasn't burning rubber going around the traffic circles, but it was dinging me for how fast I was going around the traffic circles.
And it was dinging you on the aggressive turning measure, or what?
Yes, that's correct.
Aggressive turning. Okay. Yeah, I get
right. And so you can actually dig down into specific drives, and so I managed to isolate where I was at the time of those particular drives where I was getting dinged, and I identified that it was the traffic circles.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I've had the same thing happen. It's easy to knock the score down with a little bit of braking, what I don't think is excessive braking, and it'll knock the score down a little bit. But all in all, I think I'm learning to be a better driver if I want that discount.
Right.
And I'm saving $100 a month, so I'm happy with that.
have a quick question. So you talk
Yes.
about hard braking. What about autopilot hard braking?
If autopilot is doing it,
Yes.
I personally don't have any experience with it. Maybe some of the others on the call can respond to that one. I don't have autopilot. I'm completely caveman driving in my 2013 mess.
Oh, no, autopilot, anything that happens on autopilot doesn't get counted.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good.
Good to know.
Whatever is in autopilot stays in autopilot.
Yeah, and I think they do count the number of miles. So the best thing to do if you're trying to get a good score, well, one of the best things is to just go on, autopilot or FSD or whatever, as long as you want,
Mhm. Oh, good. Thank you for the tip, Julia.
I have State Farm's Tattletale, and I mean, it catches me for speeding, it catches me for braking and stuff like that. But I just,
Yeah, I looked into that. They use a third party to get that data, and I think they can share and sell that data. So I wasn't too thrilled with that idea, But I'm happy with the Tesla, so that's good.
Yeah, I was so happy when I got FSD beta and I didn't have to drive like that anymore. I mean, I'm not a crazy driver, but I was really driving like a grandma, especially taking turns, when I would make a left turn or a right turn. I mean, I would have to go really slowly and probably piss off people behind me.
I don't
I haven't.
understand. I don't understand. And before, because of your safety score, you were going slow, or now that you have full self-driving, you go.
No. When I was trying to get full self-driving, and I sold my Model 3 in December, and then I got a new one in January, and right between those two times, they stopped allowing new people in. So it literally, I was driving like that for 6 months, and that was enough, I think.
I haven't done a claim yet, so I don't know how easy that process is. I do have a cracked windshield at the moment that I'll get fixed, but I don't think I'm going to file a claim for it. I think I'll just pay out of pocket.
So tell us about the people that you've talked to at Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really fortunate to rub shoulders with some of the executives across different events. I think the first high level executive that I met was, well, in the same night, I think I met Franz von Holzhausen, chief designer, and Jerome Guillen, who's no longer with Tesla. He moved on. But that was a boring company event back in, I think it was 2018. No, maybe it was 2018. I think December of 2018. But that was, they're just so approachable. I've always been impressed. They mingle. They don't stay in their elevated seating areas. They'll talk with you. They're happy to take selfies with you. And that's been consistent at every event that I've been to. I've been to most of the events by Tesla, and they're happy to chat, which is great. The time that I had a chance to chat with Elon was a Tesla leadership summit. They haven't done it in a few years, but the last time it was this was before 2020, so it was 2019 when this happened. It was pre-pandemic, and they told all the club leaders and people that were attending the leadership summit to be at SpaceX. They didn't say why. I knew why. I had talked with someone, and so they told us to be.
Uh-oh.
Uh-uh.
As well as the design studio, and
You cut out for quite a while.
They uh-oh. Okay.
You said,
So
back up to when they said to be at SpaceX. Or
yeah,
whatever.
they said to be at SpaceX. They didn't say why, but I knew why, because I had talked with someone who had helped arrange the meeting. And so I don't know, there were maybe 50 people in the room, so it wasn't super large, but it was sizable. They did give a few people the opportunity to ask questions, but they didn't say. They just said, be ready to ask a question. Elon came in from the back, and his security detail was in there before he walked in, but he came in, and he's kind of a meek stature, shoulders hunched over, hands in pocket, and it just kind of struck me by surprise. I had seen him at other events before, but never a small size like this. And he just stood up front and said thank you to all of the club leaders, and a few got to ask questions, and some of them were quite interesting, like, will you create, if you got one question to ask Elon, you want it to be a good one, but one person asked if they'll make a Tesla boat, and I'm like, of all the questions you could ask, you want to ask if they're going to make a boat when there's so many more important things to I think focus on. So I asked him about the acquisition of Maxwell Technologies, which is they've a portion of their 4680 battery cells, they've implemented Maxwell Technologies. But at the time, no one really knew. They hadn't said publicly what they were going to use Maxwell Technologies for. So that was my question. I got to chat with him about the dry battery electrodes and technology around the company that they acquired. And he was a bit mum on some of it, but he was also excited to talk about something that he hadn't really talked about publicly outside of the company. So he was, I think, surprised that I had asked about Maxwell, and he asked if I was in the battery industry, and I just said no, I'm just an enthusiast who follows the company closely. So that was my brief interaction with Elon. It was, in total, maybe a 5-minute conversation. And then at some point, once he answered, I don't know, 5 or 6 questions, he had to go. So he's a very nice guy, very, very approachable guy. But also, I think he has kind of a meek stature.
I just wanted to mention, if you want to see him answer some good questions, the Everyday Astronaut interviews with Elon are so good. And they get into some really good technical stuff. But it's good to see Elon at his best, answering the engineering and, really getting in deep to some of those questions. So he's an unusual guy for sure.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the remarkable things that's often overlooked about Elon is that, and this may not be the case with the interviews that Tim Dodd does with Elon, because they appear to be pretty technical. But I'd say in general, he's got a really fantastic way to make very complex things, technologies, simple for people to understand. And I think he just kind of does this intuitively, where he surveys the room and assesses what types of people he's talking to, and will simplify things as needed. He's kind of a generalist in terms of technologies. He can drop into a Tesla meeting, department meeting, and he's got a pretty good understanding, technical understanding about what's going on. So it's quite impressive, and I think that's one thing that is overlooked often, is he knows the technicalities of the businesses that he runs. He's not just a
Figurehead.
pass it off, delegate it to executives and trust that they're running it. He really has his hands in every important part of the business.
Yeah, that's a good sign of genius if he can make things understandable. I think Einstein was like that. People can explain themselves
It
in a
seems
simple
like
way.
it seems like from what I've seen in interviews and just stuff like that, is that this idea of making things simple is not just for other people. It seems like something that he does himself in order to, what does he say? Go back to first principles or whatever. I mean, take this sort of complicated thing where there's a lot of players and people don't know, each person doesn't know the whole thing, and maybe it's overly complex, and then kind of cutting to the chase and saying, well, okay, like what's the fundamentals of this, and can we simplify it? Whether it's a engineering problem or whatever.
That's good insight, Julia.
Yeah, he's just a really fascinating guy. He's criticized, and sometimes rightly so, in my personal opinion. I'm not an ultra Elon fan. There are some things that he does that I'm not terribly crazy about, and I wish he would focus on the things that are probably more important, that are sort of moving the primary business objectives forward. Getting distracted by things on the peripheral are not always beneficial. The political stuff is personal political views are probably, in my opinion, peripheral and secondary. I had a conversation with another automotive company that's selling direct, working to sort of build inroads with politicians to get bills passed to allow them to sell direct in other states. And they expressed concern that Elon was what's a good way to put it? He was straining relationships with Democrats. Democrats have traditionally been the ones to help champion getting more electric vehicles on the road, and some of his recent criticisms have Democrats have pulled back from associating with him. So there are unintended consequences like that I think, even if you share those opinions, sometimes it's best just to close your mouth and let things happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, it seems to me he doesn't value his team. He allows people to leave. He stresses them out. Is that a fair criticism?
That he stresses his employees out?
Yeah, I think especially the executives. Many people have left Tesla. He doesn't seem to value keeping people and the cost of turnover.
I suspect I don't have a practical view, and I think employees would probably be very mindful about how candid they talk about that. But he demands a lot of his employees, but he also demands a lot of himself, and I think that he's often there, working next to them.
Yeah, I think it's probably a really stressful place to work for everybody up and down the line. And Carpathy, his AI guy, left recently, but I think he wanted to go on and do some other things. I don't think it was any friction necessarily between him and Elon. I think he's more of a researcher and educator. He came in to do the AI for 5 years, but I don't think that's his first interest to work for Tesla. You know.
Yeah, that's an eternity in tech and software.
And dog
5
years.
years is like 30. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's yeah, they seem to be on amicable terms. The two of them, they both spoke highly of each other on Twitter when he made that announcement. But it's he's in a really great position. It's like winning the Super Bowl. After you win the Super Bowl, you can really go anywhere and command your own price, your own salary, how much you're getting compensated. And I think he'll be in very high demand. And if he chooses to continue to work on other things, he's not going to have any issues with his next opportunity and getting paid very well for it. What else can I talk about?
Well, so the Denver Tesla Club, do you have any like visions for how it could change or anything like that, or is it just kind of going on as
ultimately, I think at this point in my real estate career, I probably need to bring on some people who can do things, help me do things, execute on events consistently. There's just a lot of things that are pulling for my attention, and the busier that I've gotten with real estate, the lower on the priority list the Denver Tesla Club has gotten. So I'd like to just execute on a few things consistently, like having monthly or even bi-monthly events. The club's grown quite a bit. There's a lot of people who have joined who probably don't realize that we have events, have done. Get back. It'd be nice to get that going consistently. So, yeah, I events is a really great way to kind of get people together and get people excited about the community and what Tesla's doing. So that's my one thing I think I would like to see happen.
Well, I think I'm technically an events person for Denver Tesla Club because there was one thing I wanted to do, and so they made me an events person. So I can like work on that with you if you want. Since I'm
sure.
the events coordinator for this club.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're willing to put a little bit of time each month into organizing, that would be extremely helpful.
Yeah, I've noticed something on the Denver Tesla Club that people are selling their big wheels and trying to buying smaller wheels, but nobody's selling smaller wheels to buy the big wheels. Any thoughts on that?
Well, it makes sense. As someone who drives a lot, I still have my winter tires on, my winter 19s on, and they're less expensive to replace, and you also have better efficiency. So it makes tons of sense that that people are more inclined to go down rather than up. The larger tires and wheels are very nice, but they're also more expensive. So I can get a set of 19-inch winter tires for about $1,000. But replacing my performance tires will run me about $1,600, and they last and they wear faster, the performance tires. So I'm replacing them more often. I think my performance tires are rated for around 15 or 20,000 miles. My winter tires are 40,000 mile. So I think it makes complete sense.
Yeah, I have 19s. I have two sets of tires, and my winter and summer tires are 19s. I think they ride smoother. You know, I've had these. I've had bigger tires on other cars in the past with a harsher ride and you know, broken rims and all kinds of things. So I really like the smaller tires myself.
It is certainly a reality when you're using low profile tires in the winter time, that the reality is you're probably going to bend them or crack them. There's just not as much to absorb the shock with a low profile tire.
So Sean, how Denver Tesla Club has a lot of members. How did you get all those members?
I don't know. That's the short answer. I think that it is in direct alignment with their rollout of the Model 3, the more affordable vehicles, Model 3 and Model Y. I think maybe at this point, because they're coming through pretty consistently right now to the Facebook page, and that's really the only place that people kind of convene at this point. I think maybe the local sales centers might be telling new owners about the club, and that of course is from being connected to Tesla in a formal way. So I can't take any credit for that outside of making sure that we're in alignment with Tesla, and but that might be the case. I seem to recall a conversation like that a while back where headquarters was going to encourage local sales and service centers to have owners get connected to the clubs.
So, any news on the rebuilding the Superior?
Yeah, it's
site?
happening. Yeah, they're doing it. I think it just needed to go through the proper insurance channels, but it's being rebuilt right now. They had to tear down everything, but they tore it down to the steel structure, and we'll build it back up. So it will be open at some point again, or reopened at some point again. Most of you probably know, but the superchargers there are now turned back on, so you can go there and charge your car. They just have the building blocked off with fencing.
Is there an ETA on that?
I haven't asked, so I don't know for certain, but if I were just to guess, not based on any firm information that I've heard, and I could ask. I'm happy to reach out and ask, but I would guess it would probably be 12 to 18 months from now. But some of you probably saw that they've got a new location in Aurora open, a new sales and service center. So that makes, I think that makes 5 at the moment. So you have Littleton. I don't recall if they still have East Evans open.
I drove by the other day and it was like, it's not even, like for a while they were just servicing their own vehicles, like their service vehicles and
Mhm.
stuff there. And then it went back to where I was able to go there because that was my closest. And now I
Mhm.
drove by the other day and it looked like it was just gone almost.
Yeah. 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 So they've got Littleton, they've got Aurora, they've got Colorado Springs, they have Loveland, and when they reopen Superior, they'll have that one. And then there's also plans to build one for the mountains as well along I-70.
Where is the one in Aurora?
I think it's near just east of Stapleton, I believe.
Oh, great. Central Park.
It's around the Stapleton area. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, that's good.
I didn't know if there was one in Loveland. I needed a filter change, and I thought, they'd bring out the mobile guy to do it. All of a sudden, they said, well, you can have this time slot in Loveland, and I went, I don't want to drive to Loveland, so I threw it away. I guess I don't need that filter change that bad, but.
Yeah, I go to Loveland. That's close to me, and it's a nice setup. They're very good there, I think.
I went up there because the few times my trunk didn't close all the way, but of course, intermittent problems you never get fixed. Because when I went up there, it behaved perfectly. So,
Oh, yeah.
I've always had a good experience. I'm about 15 minutes away from them right now, so that's my go-to at the moment when mobile service isn't coming directly to me. And yeah, they've got it down. I haven't yet had a bad experience, and they've been very accommodating to me. And I've had a few interesting things go on with my car. I recently had my motor replaced after about 285,000 miles or so, 283,000 miles. So finally, it was on the verge of going out. I probably could have driven it for several thousand more miles, but I never want to be in that position where I have to be somewhere and I'm stranded on the side of the road. But I wasn't upset. I think I got a lot of miles out of it, so I was very thankful. And now my car is not. My car will only supercharge. I can't charge at home on my wall charger. This was an issue that I had back in November, December that I had replaced, but it's the same. I'm having the same issue. So fortunately it's under warranty, but that one was the motor was about it was a refurbished motor for $6,000. And this charging controller or onboard charger that had to be replaced, I think was quite expensive as well. It was like $2,300 if I remember correctly. But that one's going to be under warranty since it hasn't even been a year yet. But an older car like this, I'm having to fix things periodically.
Well, yeah, compared to replacing a gas engine at a couple of 100,000 miles, that's surprising you don't have to rebuild those a couple of times. My neighbor blew up his old BMW engine. He's getting it rebuilt. It's costing him $10,000. So
Wow. Yeah, I should probably retire the car here soon, but I'm trying to put it off as long as I can. It's been a good car, nice workhorse. There's some downsides to it. I'm getting around 200 miles at a 90% charge, and there are some days where I will come home with 30 to 50 miles of range. So it's enough, but it would be nice to have an extra 100 miles left.
So, Sean, where did you get your motor replaced? Was that through Loveland or somewhere else?
Yeah, they replaced it in Loveland.
Okay.
I want to throw a kudos out to the body shop. they did a good job on my car. They kept it for a week. I had hail damage and on the hood, and on the outside mirror or the outside cameras, the little silver covers on the cameras got hit. And they did an excellent job. And in my estimation, really fast. I mean, I think they kept it for 10 days, but I mean, when you look at their lot, look at what's in the shop, they're scrambling to get ahead. And they called me. I turned my rental car in and was supposed to get the car and called them and said, should I bring the Uber and come back out to you? And they said, we had a guy drop a wrench in it or some kind of a tool and it bounced and hit the side of your car. That paint's on us. And so they kept it an extra half a day and actually brought it to me. Both the manager and the tech that was my inside guy, and I've lost names on each one of them, but they were just outstanding with their service. So, I'd like to see another body shop that is a Tesla body shop opened in the area or someplace.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm always overwhelmed when you walk into anything Tesla. All you find are people that are stuck behind computers and they look up at you and say, "How can we help you?" And I've had cars forever. I'm old. I just did a thing the other day. I figured out that I have had 17 cars since I was 16 years old. But the other side of that is that you walk into a shop and there's engines running and tools being dropped and just all kinds of noise. You walk into a Tesla shop and there's absolutely no noise, So,
And it's clean.
yeah.
Well, I've got about 5 minutes left. Is there anything else that I can talk about that would be of interest to you, or any other questions that I can answer for anyone? Sounds like some of you are Tesla owners, so you probably have got the help you need, but happy to answer any questions.
Crickets.
There must be something. I think we don't know everything.
I guess I've got a question for Sean.
Sure.
I think Julia had mentioned something about around 2,000 members, and that's on the Facebook page, and that's pretty much where all your activity is, on the Facebook page. Out of those 2,000, is there a number that are proactive type people and that they post a lot of stuff and everything? Is there some number there that you might have?
Yeah, that's a good question. I might be able to pull the analytics for the group here and share some of them in real time. It's been a while since I've looked at the analytics piece. It's largely male, largely 40 years and up. But I think that's generally speaking the demographic of Tesla. There's a lot of
kind of the thing that I'm kind of curious in, to be a member of the Denver Tesla Club, I guess you have to have a Tesla, but or be on Facebook and sign up on the site. But a lot of people, I think, are just in the social media type groove, and so they sign up and stuff like that. But there's really no activity per se from some of those individuals, and I just wondered if you knew if there was any kind of numbers.
Yeah, I'm not able to pull it right now. I think the internet connection in the area that I'm in, but there's certainly an active group of people that are online, and then when we do host events.
Oops.
Got to put another quarter in the machine.
Yeah.
Okay, you're back. I don't know if you knew you went away, but you're back, Sean.
Oh, sorry.
You said when
Purposefully.
we do post events, and then you disappeared.
Oh, yeah. I was just saying when we do host events, there's usually a consistent small group that shows up to most of them, and then of course there are active members online as well. But I'm not able to pull up the stats at the moment. The internet connection is being a bit slow.
Well, if you do come up with that, you can send me an email. I'd just be curious to know.
Sure.
I think you find that in all Facebook groups. I run 7 of them, and I have those people that constantly post. None of mine are. I mean, I have 2 gem cars, or 3 gem cars, and their gem car owners are spread across the country. But I don't know. For Tesla groups, I have a group called Team Tesla, and I guess the busiest groups seem to be in California, where there are probably way more Teslas, or where I know that there are more Teslas. But Southern California Tesla, they just went all the way to Northern California to a drag race that they wanted to be at. And they do all kinds of well, not parades, but I mean, going from Los Angeles to name a place, San Luis Obispo, 160 miles away or 190 miles, and they take 40 cars, it's just unreal. And then in the valley, there's another Tesla group there that decided that, none of the superchargers had trash cans. So they put together a deal where one of them found a trash can and one of them found a screen printer and put their names on the trash cans, and they assign a member to watch the trash can and dump it and make sure somebody didn't steal it, and that kind of stuff. Interesting to see what else goes around the country.
Well, I really like the Denver Tesla group. I'm here in Fort Collins. I appreciate you letting me be part of it. I hope that's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I really like it too. Whenever I've had a question about something, people are so helpful and friendly and willing to help. And I belong to a Facebook group called Tesla Divas. And I've read at least 24 times people say, "Oh, I had to drop out of my group. They're so horrible." And it's so nice that you all Tesla Divas are so welcoming and don't shame people for dumb questions and stuff like that. I've never experienced anything like that with Denver Tesla Club. Every time I read one of those, I'm like, wow, we have such a great Tesla club here.
Indeed.
I would agree. I would agree. Well, I've got to get running here. Thank you to Julia and the board for the invitation to come and talk. If there's anything that you have questions about after the fact, feel free and connect with me on social. I'm everywhere most people are. So feel free and reach out. But thank you for the invite and for your attention.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you guys for putting this together. It's good.
Yeah.
We can thank
So-
Julia
so-
for
This was
that.
interesting. Yep.
Julia.
So next week we won't have a meeting because we have our picnic
I mean, next month.
next month. Next month in August, yeah. So there'll be one in September. I can't remember what it is, so.
What did he say about replacing his motor? I had a message I needed to respond to. How much did it cost him?
10,000.
6,000.
10,000 is all?
No, I think it was six.
6,000, I think.
6,000? Wow.
Yeah.
Do I hear 8? It was 2,300 for his charger controller, and it was 6,000 for
Right.
motor replacement.
Right.
Oh,
So I appreciate having more women on this than you might expect. You know, it's not just a bunch of old white guys. So that's kind of cool.
when I first joined Denver Electric Vehicle Council, somebody asked me what it was, and I said, Old Man's Geek Club.
Yes, indeed.
Very
Thanks.
he gave me
Thanks, Jill.
Yeah, the Denver Electric Vehicle Council, when you look at it in comparison to others, is quite uniquely different. And
Yeah.
but we've been around for 40. Let's see, what's it been? 47 years or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. We've been in existence that whole time, and it's really been kind of an evolution type thing where we've gone from everybody that wanted an electric car had to convert their own, and we went up through the electrothon phase, and then in the 90s things started to change again. So it's been quite a bit to keep it going all this time.
Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for getting this thing going.
Okay, I got some more workers in my yard. I better go. Nice to see you all.
Okay, see you, Jill.
Bye, Jill.
Bye.
So, do people have any ideas or desire for events other than these monthly meetings, like a more in-person social kinds of things? What do people think about that?
Keg party. I don't know.
I mean, is that something that you think people would like?
At one time, it was an in-person meeting almost every month, and we'd go to different places, different manufacturers, anybody that had anything related to electric vehicles. It was pretty, substantial back in the early days. We had a running streak of it for a few years, around 2013 and 14, 15 in that area. But the COVID really put the kibosh on personal type stuff, and we've missed 2 Christmas parties, and that was an annual event that really brought people out. We'd have 50, 55 people that would show up at those events and so forth. And it was really, really cool. Just, see folks at least once a year face to face, but it depended on the interest, as we would have at different places. Those people that were interested in that thing would show up for it. We had something else why other people would show up. So, but there's always an increase in interest when the gas prices go up.
Yeah, I got, I've kind of run into an issue of people that aren't not interested in electric vehicles because they just heard bad things. And the other day I was at the car wash, and I got to talking to a guy with a F-150 Ford truck. He was asking me about my Tesla, and we got chatting. He says, well, you have to replace the batteries every couple of years, right? And I said, no. I said, about once a year. He said, what? I said, no, they last a long time. There's not a problem. you're going to get 8-year guarantee on them. And he just was kind of buying into a lot of myths that were out there. So I'd like to reach people like that. I mean, he was fun to talk to, and I said, "You're going to get an electric F-150?" He says, "No, my wallet's not that big." But I like
Yeah,
people like that.
I was at an EV show yesterday, and I got that. The person said the batteries last like 3,000 or 3 years, right? And I said, well, I wish they did, because the warranty's for 8 years, so I would just get a new battery for free every 3 years.
Oh, that's a good answer. I like that.
Good answer.
Yeah. But I one-on-one is the way to reach people, I think. It just, I don't know, it just seems like the best way to meet people, and maybe
We've had-
joining in with other events that are non-electric is a good idea, tagging on to things, going to the parks.
We've had some fun experiences going to ICE car shows
Right.
and the coffee and cars and coffee thing. We went to one a couple weeks ago in Louisville,
Okay.
and there were how many of us? 11, 12?
Really?
And
Yeah, so every first Saturday there's a Cars and Coffee in Lafayette. It's on South Boulder Road, and I can shoot. I can try to find the info for it. Anyway, so we're just kind of informally going there, and I've got this sandwich board that says "Ask me about electric vehicles," so you can kind of see where we are by looking for that, because it's kind of
Okay.
conspicuous. But yeah, and I was kind of surprised. We've done it twice, but we're doing it every month. But I was kind of surprised, because I was expecting a lot of kind of hostility or whatever, and people it seems like in the last year people have really gotten on board with electric vehicles. I mean, there's less of this animosity, and they seem to have accepted that it's a thing and kind of like it.
Yeah, I think especially people that like cars, they seem to be more open, especially people that see the performance of the Teslas, and I think they're coming around. I think that's
Yeah,
true.
I think the plaid had a lot to do with it, and then also for a different demographic, like the Lightning.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah, and I don't know that we stretch all the way to Fort Collins. There's a group on Facebook called Cars and Coffee, and they schedule they have all the schedules of all of the cars and coffee shows, and then there's another one called Denver or Colorado car shows, and
Okay.
they list the car shows. Again, I've been a member of the DEVC since 2011, when I got my first gem car, and a gem car is a golf cart on steroids, but it's street legal. And I started going to car shows, and my first picture was my gem car and a bunch of classics, and I had a guy from the Geek Squad. I don't know where he was, but he was inside my machine, my computer, looking at what my pictures are, happened to be, straightening out my thing. And he said, one of those cars does not look like the others. And I went, be careful where you go with that. But, and then when I got my Tesla in 2017, it had a longer extension cord. So I went off to, I can go to car shows that are more expanded, and then I've got a group that come with me to go to the car shows. As I keep promoting them, I've got more interest in it. I've got one coming up on the 31st of this month. A friend of mine put out that it is Buffalo Bill Days in Golden,
Mm.
and there was a car show scheduled for a parking lot in Golden, and then the girl moved it down to the VFV, not the VFW, the other one, the American Legion. And I don't think the American Legion's got enough parking. So I said, let's go take this empty parking lot and just put on an electric car show. So I'm hoping to get cars. Last count, I think I had 8 cars going there. So, you know, it's just a matter of trying to get people who like to talk about their cars to come out to these things and get involved with everybody, not only themselves, but the surrounding thing. You know, we've been to some car shows that have just been duds because it's just the car owners.
Mm.
But if you can get the crowd to come into it, you know, a coffee and cars and coffee thing is great. Julia had one up in Arvada someplace that was coffee and sparks. I don't know. Anyway, but COVID hit and the coffee shop closed or kind of tightened itself up, and so we didn't go back there. But it was a good idea. I keep looking around for a parking spot in my area to try and get it involved. I went to a Cars and Coffee last week in I live in Wheat Ridge. This one was just across the street from me in Denver, and on 38th it's billed as coffee, cars, and pancakes, and it's at a grocery store. Well, 2 months ago or a month ago, they had only 2 cars show up. This time they had around 30 cars show up. So, I mean, you know, it's getting the word out, it's getting the people to come to it and that kind of thing. I had a lot of people come. Craig, I have a bingo card of stupid questions that people ask. If I can have your email address, I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put that in the chat. How's that?
But yeah, it's you know, it's just getting stuff out, and there's so many things. If you go to a Cars and Coffee at the National Drive Electric Month, which is or week, which is in October.
September.
September.
It's
Yeah,
actually, it's the last week of September, but it runs into October. It did that last year. We'll do that again this year, I think.
It'll almost be nice to spread those out. They're all together, crunched up. Too many things all at once during that time. But yeah, I'll try and make the Lafayette group.
Great. We'd love to see you there.
Because I like talking to people. I think it's fun. You know?
It's a show put on by Adams Polishers, and evidently they sell polishing stuff and stuff like that. So, I mean, it does draw cars. They must have had 100, I would say 100 gas cars there.
Really?
Plus
yeah, nice ones too. I mean, people seem to come from all over. So
like classics or new gas
a lot
cars?
of classics.
Okay.
New as well. Yeah. I mean, if you're into cars in general, which I'm not.
Yeah, I like cars.
But...
I had my first car when I was 15 before I had a driver's license. So yeah, I like cars.